So I'm going to end up with a video of 3 minutes just for everyone to understand how vital the insurance market plays in tackling natural disasters. And then if you have any questions, we're happy to answer them if we have time. If we don't, please reach to us anytime, and we're happy to answer any of your queries. Thank you.
We do suffer a lot when there is natural disaster. I mean, a lot.
Because of increase in frequency and magnitude of climate disasters due to climate change, insurance industry can really step up and fill the gap for disaster risk financing.
We need to act not only for ourselves, not only for our communities, not only for our countries. It's a global responsibility.
I am a banana farmer and I'm a plantain farmer. I have been a farmer about 16 years. I have the passion for farming.
About 18% of Jamaicans are farmers. And when we think about where we are and the extreme climatic conditions that we experience in the event that there's a hurricane or there's a tropical storm, it puts a strain on the farmers. They have to start over from scratch. It puts a strain on the financial sector.
I have about 25 acres of bananas, with planting included. The last tropical storm that came, the farm flooded out. The entire planting was wiped out.
Nadisha's very first experience in large-scale farming, she lost everything due to a tropical storm. She got a loan from her credit union.
Knowing that I'm covered through natural disaster, it get me back on my feet fast enough. Without insurance, I can tell you every farmer suffer. At the end of the day, after a disaster, with insurance, we can easily get back on our feet.
Because changing weather pattern, the typhoons is getting stronger and stronger. In a small island ecosystem, mangrove forest plays important role in ensuring the sustainability and stability of the island. If you have the mangroves, it serves as the buffer. When there is a big typhoon or storm surge, the first area that can be hit are the mangrove areas. So the communities know that this mangrove can protect their lives and livelihood. In 2013, the typhoon Haiyan hit the island. Because of this, the communities participated in the rehabilitation of the coastal forest in the island. Insurance helped the communities doing this conservation and rehabilitation on their mangrove forests. We don't need aid, we need investment.
There's a huge gap of insurance products in Pakistan. In July 2022, unprecedented rains happened all over the country. Almost 1/3 of the country was underwater. Because of that, over 33 million people were affected. We already knew that there were rains coming in 2 weeks in advance. NGOs partnering with the insurance sector could have protected the local community. Whenever we face a disaster, we face the same situation. We always focus on relief and response rather than preparedness and building their resilience. Advanced insurance payout could have been used in moving their livestock to safety, in moving their families to safety. This is something that can build their resilience to cope with the disaster. Climate change is here right now, and its impact is only going to increase in magnitude and frequency in the future. If there's a good coordination between insurance sector, between the government, and between the NGOs, then I think they can really build their resilience towards future climatic shocks.
So you see, the insurance sector is such a prestigious sector, right? We are a force for good, and we all believe in doing good. So I open it for Q&A, if everyone wants to, please. No one. I think everyone wants to. Yes.
Thank you. In fact, what I would like to say that whatever you say, everything you said, really it's music to my ear, because it's very important. It's a very important topic. Yesterday, when I was talking about what can insurance do or how to close the protection gap, I think we need to start by something very basic. And you mentioned the private-public partnership. Everybody is talking about the private-public partnership, but we don't see this on the ground. In few countries, we see a few examples. I can take an example. Oman is a very good example. In 13, 14 years, they had 3 events, catastrophic events, but till now, they are not able to structure something, an insurance response. I think here in Dubai, I was living here for a long period. I think we had something like 2-3 events. We had Guno, we had the 2 earthquake 2013 and another one in 2015, etc. But the insurance industry is not taking this seriously. And one day, God forbid, I hope it will never happen, but one day we might have a catastrophe. And they can tell you something. If you go to Fujairah and if you are doing a scuba diving, you can see the deterioration of the coral. You can see, I was diving last Saturday, and now the number of fish, you can see it's not even half the fish we were seeing 10 years ago. And really, it's a serious issue. I'm an insurance person, and it happens that I'm coming from, say, economic background, and I was always very interested by all this, how to fight poverty. And I think insurance companies, they have to change their mind. Writing motor, writing oil and gas, writing aviation, etc., etc. It's perfect, but this is the old model. Now, with the climate change, they have to anticipate. And within the UN, the United Nations, for the past 10 years or even more, they were working on certain aspects. The International Insurance Society, I remember attending in New York an event one day about the climate change and the insurance, something like 11, 12 years ago. But what is happening in our region? Our region, we don't see much initiative. Even with sorry to say it, I launched an initiative in September. Well, I have 20 attendees, but till now, there is no feedback from the market. I think you, especially if all of you, even within the UAE as an NGO, I think you should go to the different government, the different department, and tell them, explain to them, they have to do something. Now, if something, because insurance companies will not move quickly. Yeah? Don't expect them to move quickly, because they are either top line or bottom line and nothing else. Corporate governance, this is not taking seriously. I should not say this because it's not very politically correct because of my position. But the reality is we are not interested even on the individual level, And I like, the Vivek experience about the way he came, to do such business. It's very important. Yesterday I was saying we are traveling. I can tell you myself, I'm taking, the plane something like 80 times a year. So talking about environmental threats, it's crazy, and I feel ashamed. Honestly speaking, I feel ashamed. When I think about my car, I feel ashamed. Although I hope I have a daughter, and I would like to do something for her, for our children, etc. But unfortunately, especially in our region, we are not enough aware. And I think your association and other associations should push with the government to do something.
So let me just react to that. I think you've raised an excellent point. You see, the protection gap is built up of two other gaps, and you've hit the nail on the head with that. The first is the awareness gap. This goes right to the core of where people aren't aware that they need insurance, or they have insurance, they aren't aware they aren't covered for a particular loss, as we saw in America with Hurricane Ian. No one was covered for flood. They had all other kinds of insurance. So the first gap we need to close is the awareness gap. The government plays a large part in that. Insurance companies also play a large part in that. That's where you folks can get the information out. The second is the penetration gap, as the number of people covered versus number of people who are not covered. So there's a policy nudge. There the government needs to create the right framework so that people go. Can anyone here without a car go take anyone with a car not have car insurance? That's just it. They've managed to penetrate that. So you need policy nudges like that, and I think going forward you will see that, because let's face it, when all else fails, when no one's covered, when no one has insurance, who takes the blame? Who takes the heat? It's the government. The public sector dollars are spent to fix things, to give financing, and that's wrong. Imagine if the government could save that, have certainty with the insurance industry giving that cover, and then the government can put its money where it wants. So it's good on the balance sheet. It looks great on the balance sheet, and I think the government's going to realize that very soon. But that's a great point you've raised, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much indeed. This is very helpful presentation. Good moderator. Thank you so much. My concern is something that I'm coming from the insurance background, and I'm always concerned about the violent changes taking place in the climate. And we're seeing that. We're seeing that in different parts of the world. Sometimes you see the drought, the flood, the earthquakes now, the fire, the forest fires. It's apparent, and it's coming, and we're still not reacting. Apparently, we are waiting for someone to give us the solution. My concern is that for the insurance companies or the banks or the private equities, when they put money, they are waiting for some return. At least I will cover what I have spent. But currently, with the massive or the violent changes, there must be different techniques. There must be different solutions. Because if I pay in 1 year $200 million in one catastrophe, I mean, and numbers can go far beyond that. How this will be recovered by the insurance company? If they were expecting earlier that the earthquake perhaps will take every 10, 50 years, I mean, that's now not the case. Floods are almost every year. So there must be some different solutions. And I would love to see that there are more work and more thought on that direction, because we are just waiting for the train to hit us. I mean, it is coming, and we are just like the deer in front of the flashlights, and we're just waiting for it. So I would love if you can help us with some solution for all of us, what perhaps we can do to make sure that we are at least providing the necessary cover for the client.
I do believe that we're less experienced than most of the people in this room. I do believe that everybody actually knows exactly what they should do. And we all know that being reactive is not a good thing at all. We cannot wait for the government to force the way we work. We have to lead by example. We have to contribute to building sustainable businesses. And this is where, we need to evaluate our ESG strategies. And ESG, everyone thinks, it's a department by itself or it's a CSR. It's not. It's very simple. It's all about defining the purpose. Why do we work in insurance? Why we are working for a specific brand? Why are we taking care of the people? How crucial people are to our businesses, and how we are behaving as individuals and as a corporate in the society, and how that reflects also on the environment. So it's very simple. We don't need that complexity and sophistication into addressing or defining what ESG is. We all do ESG, by the way, but it's all about someone sitting and just putting it in the right context. We all do it. I have been the daughter of this insurance market for 20 years. My dad is here, and I'm very proud to have him here. I always, heard him talking about business ethics. And this is part of governance, code of conduct. But, even code of conduct, we need to revise. It cannot be the same mission statement that we have every time. It cannot be the same code of conduct every time. We have the sustainability part that needs to be addressed in the code of conduct. So we need to always ask ourselves as individuals and as a corporate, what are we doing to keep our businesses healthy, to keep our business survive? This is sustainability. It's all about how can we continue the legacy that was built for the next generations, and how that will impact our economies, and how that will impact Earth. So it's all interrelated. So in terms of solutions, insurance product solutions, I'll tell you, in UK, global companies are collaborating together to create a fund on that natural disasters. And what we're missing here, and I'd love that to start happening, is to engage together, to talk and to share concerns, and use the association as a platform to say whatever. It's okay to disagree, and this is let's agree to disagree. But it's healthy to keep the dialogue going and finding solutions that will benefit all of us together.
Right. If I could also react to that, sir, I think you also raised a very, very good point. $100 billion was total insured losses last year. Okay, it's only going to go up. Okay. Now, if you take a step back, now you've got climate change risk as a number one risk, but before that, number one risk was cyber risk. Let's learn from that. How do you deal with cyber risk? You build large walls and you make sure no one comes at you. And that's all people were doing, building higher and higher, stronger firewalls. That's it. Insurance companies will think that that's what they want to do. Just raise the premium. Just keep raising the premium. There'll come a point where the market's going to say, we don't want it anymore. Well, what did the cyber world do? Sir, let's learn from that. They said, instead of building higher walls, let's look over the wall and see who's coming. Yeah, that's what they did, which means predictive risk. You can actually invest tools these days. They'll predict risk for you, and they use data from a number of data points and sources. So as long as you can predict an element of risk, you can price it. It makes your life much easier. So that's my thought on that.
I'll add the point here. I guess very specifically with the products around insurance industry. Let's learn from what's the West, what's the rest of the countries who face these sort of natural disasters everywhere, how they are reacting to it. If you put certain numbers around it, roughly $300 billion of losses out of all natural disasters together. And less than half of it was actually covered through insurance. So 132 billion, yeah, exactly. So that was actually covered by this. Now, if you look at the products which are coming in the world, or rather say that the global south as such, sort of products where majority of these disasters are actually today happening, there is a concept around parametric insurance where you start looking into various different climate indexes and set a threshold of all those indexes, and you know that if certain event occurs or it's inching towards that, you have insurance already been created, a pool being created. So instead of the last sentence in the video where it was talking about rather than reacting to a situation like this, you have an approach, you have a fund which is already ready. So immediately that can be supported with. Another big concept is around the sovereign level risk pooling and risk attribution. So that's again the where countries who are very vulnerable for such sort of natural disasters, they can come together, create a pool, so that it's not that with one stake all the countries will together have such sort of natural disaster until we have something like pandemic. But otherwise, if it happens in one of the country, the fund can be utilized to support that economy and make it more resilient. Probably those sort of solutions is what already the market in the West is developing on.
And if I may, I think it's very right, parametric insurance is definitely an innovation. Remember, if you've got an event-based trigger, sir, you can fire your entire claims department. You save on that. You bring in AI, you bring in tools, you fire another bunch of people. You can lay off. And the right size, I should use the right way. You can right size your organization. There are straight savings over there. So I think great. Yeah, parametric insurance is a great innovation that needs to be looked at, particularly in these times.
I think we have a last question here.
Yeah, no, I just wanted, my senior colleagues here, Shakib and Momin, what they, I echo the same, but I would like to have that statement which says that we are the first generation, who are aware of this climate change, and we will be the last generation, probably. So everything in insurance, which I have seen in my period, the last 30 years, that it is taken as a commercial always because it's not a charity. But there has a way for everything. Because as we say that, with any new development which takes place, there is pros and there is a con. And we have to look into it because with the advancement of technology and everything, we have a lot of things which are going on, which we talk about coral reef being damaged, the sea being damaged, air polluted and all that. So insurance is not only the culprit. Let's first put it, I have to defend my own industry, that we are not just the culprit for the natural disaster or climate change, but there is a way, which insurance, what we say is that, yes, for us, we should be proud, at least, some way or the other, to mitigate these risks. We have a bigger role to play. Now, coming on, the suggestions were very valid, but that suggestion, as we said, better said than better done, which is not happening. We talk about pool for a long time. So from your even GAFE, you can take it. How many times it has been discussed? Turkey, from 79 and 80, when they started, when they have come to the pool, it was 2000, probably 7 or 8, 1999. It took that much time. You think, okay, no problem, but at least these type of things, wherever we can do it, we should look into it. We should bring the stakeholders together, and we should look into, talk about, yes, business is there, profit is there, but something we have to do for CSR. And not only CSR, we will be wiped out ourselves. My children's will be wiped out ourselves. We should understand where we are standing, and we see beneath, the coral you are talking about, the same way is the globe, the same way is the world, which is being washed out. And one day you will sink there. That's what it is. So we have to take that. Every organization, whether it be Emergency Insurance Association, whether GAFE, whether Insurance Business Group, XYZ, we should take this initiative together to bring all the stakeholders together and understand that, yes, this is a risk which is serious and threatening for all of us. So insurance, yes, we can mitigate, but at the same time, stakeholders, if I'm talking about, means from oil and gas company, from aviation companies, from industrial, everyone we have to bring in that. We are not talking about purely on insurance. With insurers, yes, we are there to take the risk on our shoulder with our own capital, and those mega capital I am talking about. If you compare the capital with the losses which we have, green bonds we are going to talk about. Now these are the initiatives. These are initiatives are good to, and insurance were the first one when in COP 24 that was, I believe, when the 14 companies came together, the insurance company came together for a carbon footprint to bring down, and then net zero. So we did our part. It's not like insurance are not doing it, and we did our part. But there are other stakeholders also. They have to come into play. And where I am seeing that US independent climate change accelerators and others, they should intensify this dialogue with other departments as well. Thank you.
Just quickly, thank you, Aftab, for this. You know, my concern today is the limit of insurance, because today with cyber risk, I think maybe we will reach a point where insurer will not be able really to pay for claims. Especially we have seen the growth of cyber crimes. This is a problem. We are observing the same with the natural catastrophe. Increasing frequency, increasing amount, and at certain point, I think the insurance community, if we continue like what we are, if we continue doing what we are doing till now, we will never, I think, be able to pay for claims. This is why I think, and I fully agree with you, we need to bring together all the stakeholders, the public-private partnership, this is one, and also to make all the departments. Today we are in one of the the oil producer countries. I think these countries, although because they are rich and they have the possibilities, I think they have to start from now about the next 50 years, and the pollution is there. We cannot say, and even, I will stop.
Thank you very much, Shafi. Thank you, everyone. I do believe that the message has come across well today with the help of Mr. Hassan. Please help me to thank Mr. Hassan and Mr. Vivek for their time on their panel. And we need more leaders. We do not want followers. We are an industry that is a force for good, so let's go and do good. Thank you, everyone.